Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're joining us from around the world. Welcome to Web3 Warriors, episode 60, featuring Tipz and Rhyver from the Wakanomy project. Welcome, Tipz and Rhyver. How you doing?
Hello, hello.
Hello, doing well. Doing perfect, actually. How are you?
Glad to hear. I'm really excited about learning more about your project. Wakanomy is a peer-to-peer marketplace that's really looking to make skills more tradable, sellable, and buyable on the blockchain and in Web3 and in NFT form. So a really cool concept. I look forward to digging into that with you. Welcome everyone to Web3 Warriors. I'm your host, David Krome. I go by Krome in the metaverse. And as I just mentioned, today we're looking at the possibility, the infinite possibility really, of selling your skills on the blockchain. And we've seen a lot of different companies selling very specific niche kind of markets, whether it's hotels, whether it's metaverse building, 3D architecture skills and things like that on the blockchain. But more broadly, whether it's traditional electrical, plumbing, whatever skills you might have, or more techie, web development or coding kind of skills, there's a whole huge economy that continues to grow and blow up. And I think the opportunity to sell and really cut out middle people, cut out gatekeepers, and be able to sell direct peer-to-peer your skills all around the world is now much more realistic and much more easy to do with the blockchain. So I look forward to seeing how Wakanomy is kind of taking advantage of the global community and really the outreach and the long tentacles of Web3, basically, to really take advantage of this technology. So it's a really exciting opportunity. So as I said kind of briefly before I get into talking to Rhyver and Tipz about their project, I think there's a really big opportunity here for selling your services on the blockchain through peer-to-peer connections globally. So the biggest thing I see is that you're actually having the opportunity to cut out the middle people, cut out the gatekeepers, and sell your services direct to your community and really kind of think outside of the box in new opportunities. So maybe you're not going to Fiverr, you're not going to other platforms and kind of having to conform to what they say you have to do, And on top of that, with NFTs, if you're selling your services connected to an NFT, there's no limits to what you connect as far as utility in that one NFT, right? So maybe you sell an NFT and you can get 5 house calls, as an electrician or something like that. Or maybe if you have a certain number of NFTs, you can get extra benefits or free services and things like that. So it's really interesting opportunity to look at, and I look forward to hearing about what Wakanomy is doing on that front. So with that, without further ado, let me talk to Rhyver first. I want to get a bit of your background, what brought you into Web3 and what inspired this really cool project. So welcome, Rhyver. I'd love to hear your thoughts first, and then we'll go to Tipz.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, David, for having us on. Hello, everyone in the Web3 Warriors community. It's nice to meet all of you. And thank you, and shout out to journalists for connecting you to the Wakanomy company team. We're super grateful for that. So my background is actually in the entertainment industry originally. Worked in the corporate side of the entertainment industry for quite a few years. And honestly, that's where I learned about Web3. That's where it got brought to my attention. One of the companies that I was at when I was in a management firm, we brought someone in to kind of do a presentation and let us know kind of what's going on and why the entertainment industry specifically should be aware of what's happening in the crypto, NFT, Web3, blockchain landscape in general. And from there, I kind of just personally got super interested in the possibilities of what this technology could do on a global scale, not only, but then also just the access, an opportunity to really create a new form of generational wealth is what really piqued my interest. And so I kind of jumped into the Web3 space from that landscape and that perspective. And ultimately, I was actually made aware of Wakanomy. I had heard Tipz talking about Wakanomy a lot in some spaces earlier on, and we ended up getting connected. And that's when, him and some of the other co-founders brought me into the company. And that's kind of the backstory for that part. So it's been a wild ride as we've been building for, the last few years. And we're really excited for, what the company brings into the Web3 landscape. And like you said, just the opportunity that services, when we're talking about utility in Web3, that's something that has been, a big buzzword that has been thrown around a lot, but we really believe that the future of all of this is us. It's those real world skills and how we bridge that gap. You know, there's a huge gap between the technology and what people understand and how they can use it. And so we really felt like bringing an opportunity for, you know, people to be able to actually capitalize off of it with their current business models, their current business structures, tapping into that creator economy, the gig economy, and really allowing a path for them to tap into this market where crypto and NFTs, there's a ton of people that are transacting using that, and allowing an opportunity for them to kind of tap into that was important to us. So yeah, that's a
Amazing.
little bit about my backstory and all of that.
Good stuff. I think that's a lot of the similar things that pulled me into Web3 for sure. You know, it's that multi-generational opportunity for sure. Yeah. So Tipz, what are your thoughts on that? So I didn't know that it went back that far, a few years. So you've been kind of plugging away on this project for a minute. I'd love to hear your inspirations and kind of what led you to Web3 even prior to that.
Yeah, definitely, you know, in Web3 space, 2 years feels like 20. So a month for like a year. But yeah, I piggyback off everything River said. She said it very dead on. For me, I originally got into crypto back in 2018, just buying Bitcoin like, you know, a lot of people, and dove deeper into it in 2020 and just started learning about DeFi and different ecosystems, different altcoins. Heard about NFTs late December, didn't really know much about it. Mentor of mine's taught me about it the next month, broke it down to me, and it opened my mind up in ways that I didn't think, you know, was possible with this tech at first. So for me, I just seen I seen an opportunity for us to really come together and build an ecosystem, build our own ecosystem, our own economy through this blockchain technology, through NFTs. I learned about, you know, fractionalizing NFTs, so on and so forth, and different ways group economics can be used, and how people can come together on projects and use a trustless system. And all these things were really appealing to me because my background is in music, music producer, engineer, worked with a lot of legends such as Prince, TLC.
Wow.
And I learned a lot in the music and entertainment industry and leading different projects, working in production houses, so on and so forth, but also as a side gig, working on service providing type of platforms. Worked on a platform called Sound Better. And so I'm very familiar with platforms that are providing services and just doing that on the side in that process. But to be able to do it and on the blockchain in a more trustless fashion, it makes things, you know, the possibilities just endless. And for me, you know, when you have that experience and you see, oh, things done and like it could be done better in this way, and then be able to have the opportunity to build it out the way that will service the community better and make it more safe in the interactions, you know, even on a peer-to-peer, you know, in typical ways, you know, there has to be some form of trust, but, you know, building out a platform where it's safe and you're plugging a lot of holes to where, you know, things can't go wrong the way that I've seen them go wrong in different situations and on other platforms. You know, it's a unique opportunity. So I think the possibilities are definitely endless. And what it is we're doing, you know, building up this company, it has been a process. Like you said, we've been plugging away. But we're here. We've been building a community. And you know, we've been at different conferences and talk to different people and just really getting a feel for what the people want. So yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. So I heard you use the word trustless a few times there. So can you explain for the listeners maybe, you know, how does blockchain and selling things as NFTs, obviously there is still a certain element of trust. You're still having an agreement between two parties, right? But how does, you know, the technology eliminate some of the gaps and kind of create a more trustless, a more reliable system?
Yeah, really through the use of smart contracts. You know, having a system to where, let's say you're utilizing my services to mix your song. We don't know each other. We never met each other, but you go on Wakanomy, look at the profile, and you see things that I've done, and you say, hey, I want to give this a shot. But hey, I don't know Tipz. I'm putting up, you know, a certain amount. did a 50% deposit, so to speak, and you're putting that into a smart contract. Now, for me, I'm going to get the deposit, and if you put the other 50% up that's held within a smart contract, it's not released until the job is complete, right? So those type of things help ease the trust factor between two parties that has never met. I'm working with somebody across the world, and I don't know them either. Like, and from my perspective, like, oh, well, what if I send over the files or something, and they just run off, or I just never hear from them, hear from them again. So, you know, having smart contracts facilitate that and be able to kind of take out a huge chunk of that trust that has to typically go forth if we are dealing peer to peer. You know, is a way that Wakanomy will be moving forward.
Very cool, very cool. So smart contracts helping eliminate some of the gaps in those kind of relationships, and you know, yeah, the more trustless, the less chance for shady stuff. Especially like you say, working in kind of a global space, so that's always good for sure. So I got to ask, you know, Wakanomy obviously seems to have a connection to Wakanda, which gives me kind of, you know, pro-African kind of like cool global vibes. You know, is there a specific kind of target audience you're trying to kind of resonate with the name Wakanomy, or is there a view specifically for Africa maybe, or for the diaspora? Is there any connection, or you just really like the name Wakanda and just decided to run with it?
You should tell them the story. Are you going to tell them the story?
Yeah. So it actually came completely by accident. I was on a conversation with one of the co-founders, and we were talking, and you know, I was going in my passionate tangent. And if you ever heard me talk on Spaces, and when I get into that mode, I could talk pretty fast at times. So I was talking, and I'm like, you know, we need to build on Wakanda or on Wakanomy. And he stopped me. He was like, "Did you just say Wakanomy?" And I'm like, "What? What is that?" He was like, "I thought I heard you say Wakanda." I'm like, no, but that sounds really dope. Like, we need to write that down. So this was way back in 2020. Nice. And before we knew it would become an NFT marketplace, which, you know, February 2021, we decided, well, late January, early February 2021, we decided, you know what, let's make Wakanomy our NFT marketplace. So yeah, that's actually where it came from. There's really no connection. It's just a really dope name, but you know, the thought process is building an ecosystem that, you know, all people can thrive at. Come in and do the work. Everybody has the opportunity to thrive.
All people can thrive. That's what's up. So would that have been a Clubhouse room you were in at that point in 2020? Like many great Web3 projects?
Well, no. Well, I was in Clubhouse in 2020, yes, but I was on an actual phone call when that happened.
Okay. Nice. Just passionate phone call. That's cool. No, that's a really interesting, and it is a good brand, you know, trademark that for sure. That's awesome. So what would you say, what would you say is, I think you might've just alluded to it a little bit, but the mission and vision of Wakanomy, you know, as you're currently kind of building out, what would you say is the mission and vision, either of you?
Yeah, I think that the overall mission, and we people hear us say this all the time, and we're super intentional in all of the programming and everything that we put out. But our mission is to really spark a growth effect that will allow for all communities and all people everywhere to have access to the tools and resources needed to build generational wealth. Like, we really mean that. And to your point, you know, obviously you see Tipz and I for sure, like, we're big on our community as people of color too. And definitely want to make sure that we're creating opportunity and space for our people to really actually have a seat at the table in a way that we haven't seen before. And that's super important to us. But ultimately, our goal is, like, we see the future of this is massive, and everyone should have the opportunity to participate in that. And so we really are big on trying to really create that access through our education and a lot of our programming. You know, we do a lot of different things on Spaces often. For a long period, we were actually educating in person every single week in LA, and it was also digital. So we really go for the, like, outward of, like, in the streets, making it happen, really trying to get people on board and understanding what all of this technology is, so that we can all be utilizing it and helping each other to kind of really build that wealth for ourselves and for all the future generations to come.
Oh, that's amazing. Are you gonna add anything, Tipz?
Oh, she hit it right on the
head. Nice. That's awesome. I work with a DAO called the Dream Conduit, and it's a 501c3 nonprofit specific to, like you say, kind of educating and onboarding. So maybe there's a place for Wakanomy and Dream Conduit to connect. I'd love to explore that opportunity, because I do think there's nothing more important right now than, like you say, empowering creators, empowering people who maybe don't know about the opportunity in Web3, right? And so that's awesome that you guys are doing that, and not just doing it in spaces or in the digital space, but actually, IRL, reaching out on the ground. That's the most important thing. Like I was just saying, I came back from NFT NYC, and it's just a whole different feel, when you actually meet these people in real life and you see the way that lives are getting changed, and you see their art, IRL, real upfront. So yeah, that's amazing. So kudos to you, and I'd love to see what we can do possibly in the future, because I think onboarding and education is a huge element of it. So when looking at kind of the marketing and the growth plan for Wakanomy as a marketplace, where are you right now, and how do you kind of see yourselves having a network effect, like growing the marketplace? I know right now I see you have a collection NFT. I'm curious about that, and yeah, where you are in kind of the business plan, the growth plan for Wakanomy.
I'll let Rhyver take that, because she's killing it on that front.
Yeah, no, for sure. So right now we are currently, so back in November of 2020, what year is it? 2022, we launched our platform in the alpha stage, just to kind of introduce the overall concept to our community, and also just the general community as well, and to kind of introduce them to, how this would work, the concept of it. And in that, we also released our limited edition Wakanomy collection NFT. And so the collection NFT will basically allow for anyone who is a holder or a purchaser of it to have access to a 1-year subscription to the platform when we're in our beta stage. And this will allow for collectors, creators to really be able to come onto the platform, transact. There are a host of perks that come with being the NFT holder. But one of the biggest parts about that we really were excited to also kind of introduce the concept to was name your price. So back in November, we essentially announced that the collection NFT would be available at any price above a penny. And the reason for that was mainly because we wanted to kind of lower the barrier of entry into it. And so for anyone who sees all of what we're doing over at Wakanomy, we said, look, we're coming, we're building in the background, we're doing the work of the company to get us to that beta stage. And while we're doing that, given all of the different things that this platform will offer, a subscription model, either monthly or annually, allowing for people to be able to have access to education, be able to have access to all of the different providers and everything like that, getting access to some discounted merch, a lot of different things, occasional free NFT drops, things like that. And so we said, look, here is what the company is going to do. Here's how it's going to operate. Here's how the marketplace is going to function. You let us know, how much you are able to, how much you would like to contribute, whatever the case may be. We don't care what the amount is. That's not the point. We want everybody to be able to participate in this. So you name the price. You name the price for however much you would like to contribute and put toward, the vision of what it is that we're building. Because ultimately, yes, we're the team at the company that's building it, but we're building it all together. We're really big on listening to our community. We host spaces often and just have community meetings and things like that, where we're really getting the feedback. Like, we want to build this platform for us. It's an opportunity for us. Like you said earlier, David, and I loved it. You were like, yeah, you can come in here and you can build out, your services and offer them however you want. You can offer them, if you want to offer a discount for people who have however many NFTs from your collection, or if you want to offer, 5 house calls or whatever the case may be, that's true. We're really building something that is together. We're building it for us, by us, really the FUBU model for sure. And so collection NFT, we let everyone come out, name their price, anything you want above a penny. We won't we aren't judging you. The whole goal of it really, 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 truly is that we want to lower the barrier of entry. One of the biggest things that we noticed as we were, really ideating and building out how we wanted the company to operate, we noticed that one of the biggest barriers to entry, apart from, just the general concern that people feel about Web3, was the cost, especially being that we were in the middle of a bear market and all the different things. Our real economy and just the recession that we're on the verge of in the United States, and just all the different things that are going on right now. The last thing we wanted to do was offer something that we knew people couldn't afford. And so we lowered that entry, and we said, you can participate. We will not, in whatever amount that you can afford, you can participate. We want you to be able to participate. Come join us in this movement. Come join us in this mission. And all of the holders of the NFT have a lot of different perks that come from being one of the holders. And it's also limited edition. So once that 1,000 of them are gone, they're gone. And so they'll be in history in that way. So it's super exciting.
That's awesome. That is exciting. And which blockchain is that on then? Is it Ethereum you went with for NFT?
Yes.
Yeah. And then as a marketplace, you're building everything on Ethereum. Are you planning to, have other blockchain interoperability, or you're definitely sticking with Ethereum?
Tipz, I'll let you talk about that.
We'll definitely be we're looking at different blockchains, looking at Polygon, possibly Avalanche, but we're looking to expand it. We're starting out on Ethereum, but we are looking to expand it. As we know, a lot of L2s or layer 2s, they're becoming more, they're making more sense for people now. People are starting to understand them, and getting into them is becoming much easier. I remember, Polygon 2 years ago was nowhere near as easy to get into as it is today. So, we are looking to expand beyond Ethereum for sure.
Cool. And with the contract, I'm curious, with that name your price, how are you able to kind of build that into the minting? So like when you collect your NFT, it gives you the option to kind of just pay however much Ethereum you want?
You go to Wakanomy right now.
Okay.
Anything above 0.00001, I literally have to count every time, 0.00001. Right. Anything above that, you can pay literally any price.
That's really
anything
cool.
In between, any number you want to do, 1, 2, 3, anything. So
Very cool. Well, I'm gonna take a look at that after. Shout out to who?
Shout out to our tech team.
Tech team, that's what's up. Yeah, that's an interesting smart contract you had created there. That's an opportunity. And how about the metaverse? Are you thinking about the metaverse? Any plans for kind of expanding into the metaverse or hosting spaces in the metaverse? Is that something on the Wakanomy trajectory?
Yeah, for sure. We got some things coming. We're not going to announce it, but we are looking to do some really, really cool things in the metaverse with Wakanomy. So
nice.
For sure.
Just trying to get some alpha out of you, how about this Mix Pass NFT? I'm curious about this. So it seems to lean into your background as a music producer, Tipz.
Yeah. I'm jumping in, head first to the pool, ready to dive in. Literally just that. It's a mix pass. You'll be able to get my mixing services at a huge discounted price, 40% compared to what you will pay in Web 2.
No doubt.
And even more so, if you're a Wakanomy holder and subscriber, you're going to get the price at a much lower price than if you're not. So, basically, any song you want mixed, any type of audio you want mixed. If it's a song, you'll get 4 different mixes. You'll get the full mix, you'll get a cappella mix, you get an instrumental, as well as the performance mix. So, it comes with 3 free revisions. And the way that will work, if you purchase the NFT, you'll get access to the token gated calendar link. You set up an appointment with me. We'll meet, discuss the project. Exchange emails and send over the files, and I'm gonna get to work and put the sauce on your song and make it sound like a hit that it is. So it's a very simple process. That how we're building this out. Just the thought process behind it. Obviously the tech side, no, it's not that simple, but just the thought process of providing access to you, whatever services that you have in that token gated access. For people to be able to book and be able to work with you. So this is me diving in and just giving people the experience and showing them, this is how this works and what this feels like.
Cool, cool. So it's almost like a proof of concept for the wider marketplace, right? It's like showing, how you can sell your services and how you can be very versatile with it. Like you said, it's a lot of different kind of utility that you're adding to this one token. And, like that's not a lot of money in that space, like you said, compared to what Web2 prices would be. And I don't want to gloss over your resume. This is pretty impressive. You got Prince, TLC, Kendrick Lamar, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Justin Bieber, just to name a few. It's really awesome. So to be able to work with a producer with your background is definitely a super steal of a deal. So everyone should check out wakanomy.com/explore. Check out their options there. And this membership NFT. So how many have you gotten rid of so far out of that 1,000? You got a lot left still? Our listeners can jump in.
Nice amount. We actually have a nice amount.
Okay.
It's actually funny that you say that. Again, like we said earlier, our goal is just to get the community involved in the best way possible. And so we've been kind of having a lot of different conversations, but that's not actually something that we necessarily are. We just want to continue to build. And it's so funny. People always ask us, like, what's the average amount that people have paid? Or like, how many people? And we're like, we're not actually even really focusing on that part per se. You're mainly just like, yo, did you tell your mom? Did you tell your sister and your cousin too? Like, don't let them miss the boat. Did you tell your dad? Did you tell your brother? Like, don't let anyone miss the boat. And let me just say this too, David. One of the biggest things, we had a lot of people in our when we launched in Alpha, we had a space, and a lot of people asked, well, hey, what if I want to contribute more? Or what if I want to buy more than one? And here's what my advice is to those people that are thinking about that, and anybody out there listening who's like, I might want to do this. Buying more than one doesn't mean you get more than one subscription. What my recommendation would be is, if you want to contribute more, sponsor somebody else. Our goal is really, truly being able to get everyone access to this. If you know somebody who's an entrepreneur, who's a business owner, who could really benefit from implementing all of this technology into their business model, send them the ETH, help them purchase it, teach them how to download a wallet, teach them how to get the ETH from you, and teach them how to buy it, and help them get one so that when it's here, they're ready for it and they can participate as well. Our goal is to really get as many people as possible involved in it because we believe in it and we know the power that this holds. So that's one of the biggest parts about it. I just wanted to make sure I threw in that because we have people ask us all the time, like, hey, I was only able to contribute this much. Can I go buy another? And I'm always like, or send it to somebody, sponsor somebody, sponsor your local business that you love to stop at, that coffee shop that you love, that painter that you love, the paint and sip that you just went to and that person's offering a service. Sponsor them getting it, send them the ETH and help them to figure out how to purchase and all of that so that they can be a part of the ecosystem as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, encouraging the onboarding. That's what's up. That's how you're going to build the real network effect and get the community going, right?
For sure.
That's awesome.
For sure.
So it sounds like it is sorry, Tipz, you're going to jump in there?
Oh, no, I was just agreeing.
Okay, cool. So you're definitely taking the business angle towards it. And I love how, you got the plan. You're in the alpha launch right now. You're working towards the beta and, the wider marketplace. So it's really cool to be able to talk with you kind of at this stage where you're at. And, I'd love to follow up, of course, and see where you guys are 6 months, a year from now, whatever the case may be. Have you thought about the wider community and looking at it as a kind of DAO situation, or is that not something you're interested in as far as kind of some DAO component or organized, how do you say, community led approach to the project?
Yeah, for sure. It's where we're at right now. We're building the infrastructure of our company. We have had some talks and even talked with the community to let them know the community will have say so in certain things on the platform, features, things being built out, community voting on certain matters. We're going to be having a bit of a hybrid situation with the community and building this out, because at the end of the day, if we build out to how we see it, that's one thing, that's cool. But if it doesn't service the community and it's not conducive to them and their experience is not great, then what are we really building this for? So right now, that is the focus. As far as planning DAO, decentralization, we do see that something that's down the line. There's a there's a lot of different ways to bring up a DAO. And, you know, I think, you know, it's still being figured out by a lot of different organizations. I think there is a bit, last year was a bit of a rush to everybody springing up a DAO. It was definitely a buzzword. Money was being thrown around left and right for DAOs, but as we see, a lot of them have either, you know, fallen by the wayside, or, you know, they're kind of going through the normal struggles of something, now I want to say new because it's been around, but for a lot of people it's new for them. So, you know, we're just monitoring everything, the landscape, and seeing, okay, what's the best approach to do this? And starting off with what we know works, and then, you know, formulating to something that we see, that we believe is the ultimate goal. I think for everybody. Everybody obviously can't start out like Bitcoin, but we see
Right.
the transition of how Ethereum has evolved to what it is now, where it started to where it is now. So I think you know, decentralization is definitely on the spectrum, but I think it's a process to get to that point, for sure. So yeah, that's where we're at.
No, that's awesome. And I think it's good that you're clear-eyed about it. You know, it's definitely a scenario where DAOs, people have, you know, rose-colored glasses and run into DAOs thinking you're going to build this awesome decentralized community. And you realize, you know, no one person or even one group of people, 3 to 5 people, are really pushing this thing forward. And it often, like you said, can kind of fizzle out because it's just hard without the kind of clear coordination, which, you know, some might call centralization. But I think it's about, like you said, you know, leaning into the community, actually listening to your community, having that angle of decentralized input, right? But still having a clear, you know, central body or a leadership body kind of helping to push things forward. You have any thoughts on that, Rhyver?
No, I echo everything that Tipz just said as well. You know, we know that we're introducing a lot, you know, and like I said earlier, we were doing onboarding. I mean, truly, Tipz, like I said, Tipz and I are both from LA. We were really, really in LA, and we weren't onboarding, you know, in the wealthiest of areas, if you understand. So we have to make sure that we're taking our time too and going at the pace of our community. And that's super, super, super important to us because this is so new. And we need to make sure that our community really understands all of it before we just continue to layer out. You know, I think there's a tendency to move so quickly because the technology is advancing so fast, and we want our community to feel supported. And, you know, as they continue on their own journey. And so I think in the short term for us, it's just super important that they feel like they really understand everything before we continue to really layer on all of the different aspects that are within the Web3. So we're kind of just taking our time as it pertains to that and making sure that everyone feels like they actually really understand how this will work on a larger scale. And then over time, we can continue to evolve and sort of add on those layers. But we really want people to feel like they know what's happening and they have a really good grasp on all of this because it's all so much and it's all so new.
No doubt. No, that's a lot of gems you just dropped there. Because I think, to your point, you know, when you're talking about building a DAO, the only people who even care are Web3 natives, you know, and people who are kind of steeped in the space, right? So to your point, your mission is to expand and actually reach out to your average people who are out there selling services, right? And who have skills, but don't necessarily understand the value or the opportunity that exists in Web3 or on the blockchain. So if you start throwing DAO at those kind of people and saying, vote in the DAO and take part in the DAO, we're like, whoa. You know, that just sounds like politics to a lot of people, I think. And it does, unfortunately, end up being politics a lot of the time. So awesome. That's a lot of really good input you guys have shared here. I am curious, to your point, Rhyver, when looking at, you know, reaching out to your average contractors or freelancers out there with this pitch, you know, what has been the response in general? Are you getting a lot of positive feedback from people out there? And how are you selling it if you do, you know, face any resistance? Maybe Rhyver first and then Tipz.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest question that we get all the time, and Tipz and I love this question, actually. Our whole team loves this question, is like, why would I sell my services as NFTs if I'm already selling them? Like, why would I I'm already, you know, building out my clientele and my business and things like that. To answer your first question, people have been super excited once they understand what it is. They're like, oh shoot, there is a space for me. It's not just, you know, just PFPs and like monkeys and like things like that. And we're like, no, much more for you here. Like there's so much opportunity here. But that question of like, but why would I do it as an NFT? Like, what's the difference? We always respond, listen, there's a whole market to tap into. There's a market of people that are transacting with crypto. That may not necessarily be transacting with the same type of fiat that we even use in the US or the euro or wherever it is, peso, wherever you are, you know what I mean? And so the big thing that we have been saying is like, look, this is an opportunity to tap into a global market and a market of people that you wouldn't have had access to otherwise. You know, imagine those small businesses or those small business owners, you know, those, like I said earlier, those paint and sip painters, or, you know, the chefs that can do some virtual meal prep opportunities and things like that. Now you're doing virtual meal prep with someone all the way in Australia. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole different ball game. And people have been really, really, really excited about it. So it's been inspiring us too.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, it's good that the conversations go that way. You know, a lot of the times we hear from the FUD, you know, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt when you're talking about blockchain, you're talking about using NFTs for this. Tipz, did you want to chime in on that at all? Any thoughts around those conversations with freelancers?
Yeah, a lot of them has been very, very similar. Just every individual not knowing that they have a place in this ecosystem. Like to River's point, when I talk to people, they only think about NFTs as cartoons, monkeys, art. And now more music, but it's like, well, if I don't do none of those things, then where do I fit? So with us, with Wakanomy, we're moving away from speculation to actual use case and utility. Like, hey, I'm offering my mixing services. Someone's offering their consultation services. Like someone's offering photography services. This is you're buying access to my services, and you're going to get a service. It's not, oh, I buy this NFT and hope it moons and win Lambo, and now I'm rich. You know, this is actual utility. This is real world use case. So it lends itself to literally everyone. What the average person doesn't know is they're a service provider. They just probably haven't thought of themselves as a service provider. Everyone has talent and skills and can offer that in some way. We've seen that with YouTube. Think about all the videos, the how-to videos, the DIY videos. Prior to YouTube, like the average person probably didn't think that they had something to offer, but there's literally, you go to any video that's showing you how to do something, there's views on that video for a reason, because people around the world needed to learn that. That's a service that they're providing, whether they know it or not. They're showing you how to build this garden now, how to build out a home theater system, whatever it may be. Like the point is, before YouTube, the average person probably didn't think about it that way. And now, before Wakanomy, people probably wasn't thinking like, oh, I have a service to provide. I can operate on this technology, on the blockchain. And it's also getting people ahead of the curve. Like we know everything is going digital. We know everything is going to be on a blockchain in some sort of fashion. You know, let's get ahead of things. Let's not be late to the party this time around. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's what it's all about. You know, be ahead of the wave or ride the wave. We are the wave, as we like to say in the Web3 space. You know, we don't have to worry about catering to big brands or big, you know, anything. Like those of us who are in the space and understanding the power of the technology, you know, we're part of the wave. And I think your team is doing an amazing job really trying to wake people up to the wave and see, you know, like jump on, let's go, you know, like come ride the wave before it's gone, right? Yeah, it's wild. So looking at those freelancers, are you looking at digital freelancers versus IRL freelance? Like, is it, are you navigating that in any way? Or are you kind of just assuming that the bulk is going to be, you know, mostly digital kind of remote services that are being offered?
I think it's a hybrid of both, actually. And a lot of that will actually be contingent upon the individual service provider. So, for example, you know, there are some services that an artist, for example, might need to be able to provide only in person. That artist on their profile or on that NFT collection or however they would choose to list that service would be able to specify, you know, how that would kind of work, because there are some things that artistically and creatively they are better suited to be handled in person, so that may only be specific to, you know, wherever they're located and however they deem fit to be able to transact in that capacity. But that's really up to the service provider. However, we do know that there is a mass, now that we've lived through the pandemic and see how much can really be done over Zoom. We do know that there are a lot of people who do plan to do their services over Zoom. But for example, a hairstylist coming on, that's an artist she's an artist in her own form. He is an artist in his own form. A nail tech, for example, we've had a lot of nail techs excited about this. Those are in-person services. So they kind of would need to be IRL. But maybe there's a world where, you know, there's some form of a digital that they can include in it in some capacity. I'm not quite sure, but we know that there's probably going to be a hybrid of both on the platform for sure.
Oh, that's cool. Because, you know, I think scenario, you might just say, we don't want to deal with IRL and really just focus on the digital for simplicity. But I think the approach you're taking is the better approach, right? And make it hybrid and let it be led by the service creators, basically, as service providers, you know. Very cool. No, I'm excited, and I look forward to the beta launch and the rest of your platform coming out. Thank you so much for dropping these gems today. I think you've really talked about the power of, you know, selling your services on the blockchain and how NFTs are adding a whole new layer of utility and a new layer of opportunity. And like you said, it's an untapped global market. You know, as people become more and more familiar with using crypto and being able to pay for their services on the blockchain globally, you're going to be well positioned for that kind of explosion.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thank you for having us, David.
Thank you so much, Rhyver. Did you guys have any final words you want to add before we wrap up here?
Everybody, make sure y'all follow Wakanomy on all social platforms. We're here for you. Wakanomy is for the people.
That's it, for the people. That's what's up. Tipz, anything to add?
I'll piggyback off of that. Wakanomy is for the people. Wakanomy is a process, and trust the process. We're excited. Make sure y'all go visit the website, sign up, become a subscriber. All the perks are on there, and join our community. We appreciate you so much, David. Appreciate the Web3 Warriors community. Shout out to y'all. Y'all the real MVPs.
Shout out to
Appreciate you, Rhyver and Tipz. It's been amazing. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in. And yeah, we'll be watching the Wakanomy. And thank you guys so much. Till next time, we'll be live. We'll catch you all in the metaverse. Peace out.
All right. Take care.
All right.